One of the most common phrases used to teach a yoga class is actually something that does not help people connect with their bodies. And that phrase is, to go deeper, do XYZ. Now, the reason why this phrase is not empowering for people and it does not connect them into themselves, because it presents depth through a one-dimensional lens. Now, depth is not one-dimensional. Someone could practice yoga and the depth comes from not choosing to take their body into a particular angle or position. And the depth could potentially come from just simply moving the eyes or just simply turning the torso. The depth can come from something that is so minimal, we might not even notice it as a teacher, because depth is really an internal thing. So for us to then say that doing a certain thing equals depth, well, this is actually a false claim. Now, what we can do is we can be much more specific. Let's just take pigeon pose, for example. So say if you are wanting to give the option to your students to explore their depth by moving their body closer down towards their front leg. We might often say, now if you want to go deeper in your pigeon pose, bring your body down to your front leg. But that's not true. That doesn't equal more depth for me. So if I am not aware enough, then I'm going to believe that I'm not doing it deep enough and therefore I'm not getting the benefits and therefore my practice is incomplete and I'm complete and I'm flawed. That's not the point of the practice. So we have to understand people's psychology. So going back to this pigeon example, if you would like to guide people towards possibly exploring what happens in their bodies when they bring their body down towards the front leg, then say that. You can explore one layer of depth by bringing your body closer to your front leg and seeing how that feels for you. But there are hundreds of layers of depth in pigeon pose. So this might not be the layer of depth that is actually valuable for you. Now, our languaging is so important in order to create an introspective process for people, an introspective journey where they reflect and they consider themselves and they're not just mindlessly performing, but instead they're discovering. There's this beautiful power and this potency in a yoga practice when we can allow our students to discover their practice as opposed to perform their practice. So using the phrase, to go deeper, do XYZ, there's not enough context to that. It's a one-dimensional approach to depth, and it does not encourage connection for people within themselves. It does not empower them to explore other dimensions of depth, and it puts a bias on what depth means. It really devalues the person and their experience. So my recommendation is to really be specific about what you mean when you're referring to depth, when you use this word depth, and understanding that depth is many dimensions and many layers, not just one direction of bringing the body towards another body part, not even just doing something physically. There could be depth within the mind by choosing to not do something physically. So if you're going to use this word deep, go deeper, this instruction, this phrase, depth, really think about how that's going to play out for your students and how that's going to empower them so that you're not presenting it with a bias and you're presenting it instead with introspective languaging that encourages them to decide what's actually going to be best for them. I'm all about using conscious yoga practices to empower my students, and I love sharing this with you. So if this is something that you're also interested in and it resonates, please subscribe to my channel.